everybody, welcome to a very exciting episode of You're Just Stupid, the podcast that makes you smarter and stupider at the same time. My name's Nathan and I have diabetes. Sorry, we watched a lot of South Park recently. And that's my Scott Malkinson voice.
I thought it was pretty good.
Thank you. I am the diabetes daddy.
Are you gonna? Oh, you're the diabetes.
Yeah, I'm the
daddy.
and then this is my host, the amazing, the strong, the endurant.
Is that a word?
I'm gonna make it a word. Marathon mommy herself, Ray. Say hi, mama.
Hello. It's really weird you calling me mama.
You're my mom
even
now.
though I birthed you.
You're my mom now. Right, guys, Ray's my mom now, even though I'm 9 years older than her. That's just science. It's out there.
What are we talking about today, Rene?
So I wanted to do a special episode today. We're gonna talk about us, most specifically you.
Ooh la la.
So I put it on our social media recently, guys. You may have seen it, but Ray, yes, trained for, ran in, and successfully completed the Boston Marathon. According to some rumors, she finished 127th, and I want to spread that rumor, even though she didn't.
Yeah, for some reason, some girl at work was like, "Wow, you finished 127th out of like 30,000 participants in the Boston Marathon." I was like, "Yeah, no."
We don't know what her actual place is, and it's not 127th, and it's not first.
I think it's 26,000. It's like my place out of the 30,000. Which, whatever. I finished, bruh.
Yeah.
What did you do today, you fat lard?
Exactly. So to give you an idea, 0.17% of the world has ran a marathon. So if you're like making fun of anyone's marathon time, you can go forget yourself because you are still in the top 6 of 1%. You're like even better than the Wall Street assholes.
Oh, I already knew I was better than the Wall Street assholes.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
So
I don't do blow off of like strippers' tits.
I do.
Oh, this was supposed to be our PG episode, by the way.
Wah, wah, wah. 2 minutes in, we've already failed. Anyway, so actually, no, today's going to be a very special and meaningful episode for Ray and me because we're going to talk about what's it like to train for and run a marathon. So let's just start from the beginning, Ray. What made you want to run the Boston Marathon?
So with COVID, I think a lot of people can relate to this, but with COVID, I kind of got a little bit out of shape. Wasn't really working out a lot. I was kind of stressed. Was working a lot during COVID, so I wasn't really taking care of myself. And my friend Brittany, who's a rock star, she also finished the Boston Marathon.
Shout out to Brittany.
Fuck yeah, she also got engaged at the finish line. I'm just going to say this little anecdote right here because it's adorable.
Okay.
So she was eating Slim Jims throughout the entire race because that's her thing.
Because Macho Man Randy Savage told us to eat Slim Jims, and he's never given me bad advice ever.
Is he a Slim Jim guy?
He was the Slim Jim guy. Step into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah.
Well, you sound just like Randy Savage.
I love Randy Savage that much.
That's really good.
I have a pretty good cream of the crop impersonation of Randy Savage.
That was impressive.
You just have to sound intense and constipated, which is my natural state.
Like you're actively taking a shit,
Yeah.
and that's Randy Savage.
Exactly.
Right there.
But you gotta take an intense shit, bro.
All right, now you're getting a little bit into Bill Cosby.
You gotta get the Jello pudding pops and sexually molest the women.
My friend Brittany finished the marathon, and her boyfriend asked her if she, at the end of the race, if she wanted another Slim Jim, and she ain't gonna say no to a Slim Jim. He got on one knee and said, "Do you want Slim Jims for the rest of your life?" and proposed to her.
Guys,
Yay.
I just want to say right now, I'm a man, I'm a heterosexual male, but that's how you do it.
That is how you do it.
That's how you do it. I think you're hearing that from a man and a woman. That's how you do it.
Brittany texts me one day and is like, "Hey, I'm running the Boston Marathon with," she works at Boston Medical Center. And she said, "I'm running with Boston Medical Center, raising money, so I'm able to get a slot. Do you want to join?" And I was like, fuck no. And I thought about it for a long time, and I was like, why the hell not? It's going to motivate me to get back in shape. So I did a couple interviews. It's kind of a long process. And I just want to say really quick, there's 3 different ways you can run the Boston Marathon. The first one is you qualify, which means you're a really good runner and you run it at a certain time. And you not only have to qualify, but you have to be chosen. Everyone that qualified this year for the Boston Marathon was able to run it, which is very unusual, but they did that because it was the 10-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing.
Boston strong.
Yeah, Boston strong, and fuck the Cernia brothers.
Fuck them.
Yep. And yeah, Boston strong. There was a lot of good support out there. But anyway, so you can either qualify, which I did not, or you can get a randomly selected, as like they have some randomly like but they're hard to get randomly selected. People try for years and years. Or you can raise money for a charity, which is what I chose to do. So I ran with Boston Medical Center, which is one of the world's best hospitals. And it wasn't for the hospital, it was for all like their nonprofit organizations that they support.
Yeah, they have a big. I looked into this myself because there will be a link in the comments if you like to donate. And it's going to it's not going to hospital administrators' pockets. It's going to things like to help promote literacy campaigns amongst the youth. It's going for like substance abuse programs, homelessness. It's one of the biggest soup kitchens in like the entire Northeast. So I mean, you're helping like single parents, inner city kids, people with substance abuse and mental health disorders. Good causes all around.
Yeah, it's not going right up the administrators' noses.
Yeah. Unlike everything that we make off this podcast goes straight into Ray and my noses. So that's how you got started. Yeah, but it's not just enough to sign up for the marathon. You also need to train for the marathon. So describe a little bit, what's it like training for a marathon? I am a total schlub. What if I like raise money for a charity and I want to run the Boston Marathon? What should I do?
So I feel like I was kind of undertrained and I was really nervous about it the whole time. Even though I did do a lot of training, I signed up for a half marathon and I did that in January with my aunt in Florida as like a good prerequisite.
I was going to say, do you think it's a good, like, because you already were running 6 miles, which is like the equivalent of like
a quarter of a
like
marathon.
a 5K essentially, or
5K is 3
10K.
miles. That's a 10K.
I'm sorry, a 10K. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so Ray could already run the equivalent of a 10K. Would you say building up to that, like you already could run a 10K, now you're running a half marathon, which is like a 21K, I think, and then the full marathon's a 42K. So like, do you felt it was useful to build up in increments like that?
Yeah, so I did like you go online and there's like a million different programs that you can follow, and I was only looking to finish, so it's not like I was trying to get a certain time. So it was really hard to for me to build up my endurance, but you did see improvement with the running, which was really nice. Like, don't start out too strong. Don't jump right in and try to run a half marathon off the bat. You're gonna hurt yourself.
And
sorry, that was my garbage disposal growling.
Yeah, it sounded like a weird fart, but it didn't come from Ray or me.
It was a really sensual fart.
Yeah, but it didn't come from Ray or me, so we both got worried because we fart around each other all the time.
Well, we didn't feel the vibrations on our seats, so we knew.
A lot of it too is, like you said, you're working incrementally. You were doing some days also. I remember you telling me you'd run 6 miles, the next day you'd run 8, and maybe the day after that you'd run a lot less.
Yeah, so I would have one when it came to I don't know, maybe 15 weeks up to the marathon, I would do a long run once a week, and I would increase it by a mile or 2 each week. I did not adhere to the program as much as I should have. It's really hard because I live in New England, and the time to train for the Boston Marathon is all through the winter. So we had a lot of snow. I fucking hate running on treadmills.
That was my next question.
Yeah, because I get really sweaty in the gym that I'm at. Does not have good ventilation, and I don't like running on treadmills, so I would have to run outside, and I do not like running in the snow. But you want to work your slow twitch muscles because you want to build up endurance.
You need that stamina.
You need the stamina. That's really what it takes. And don't expect to be losing weight when training for a marathon. I gain weight because you're hungry all the time. You need those carbohydrates because you're just burning off so much.
Tell everyone how many carbohydrates you were eating before the race.
Oh, I ate so many carbs. I was so constipated.
No, give them quantify it for us, dude.
Oh, so I did the calculations, and I had to eat between 450 and 750 grams of carbohydrates a day.
Because isn't your you normally would be somewhere 100, 150, maybe not.
Maybe I should have looked that up, but to give you guys an idea, one bagel is 50 grams.
So Ray had to eat the whole bag basically every day.
Every day.
And not a small bag.
I love doing it. Yeah. That was the one part of the marathon training that I was strictly adherent to because I love carbs and it was fantastic. But I do feel, they said you should feel a little bit fluffy on the marathon day because you should be a little bit bloated, have that extra energy.
I'm not a runner, guys. Running doesn't interest me.
He has no legs.
I have actually no legs and no arms.
Actually, that doesn't stop people in the Boston Marathon, just saying.
By the way, there's wheelchair runners or participants.
Yeah, people with what are those fake legs
called?
No,
they were even there's a wheelchair race.
No, I know, but I saw people with those the
runner blades.
The runner blades, yeah.
they're all incredible athletes. Like seriously, I was
yeah.
watching in a bar. I drank 10 beers before the marathon that morning.
Rene was calling me the first 5 miles, like every half mile, and I didn't have my phone. I just had my watch, and he just like would be calling me while I was running and be like, "Dude, I'm so proud of you. I love you, man." And I'm like, "Rene, you need to stop calling me." And I was like, "He's drinking."
I was also like 10 beers in deep, and the socks kept getting rained out because I went to Fenway. And so it was a combination of being bored, being frustrated, and then actually legitimately proud of my friend.
Yeah.
2 hours.
I just want to mention too that I got a personal trainer.
Yes.
For when I started the marathon. I still see him twice a week. And so he knows like my goals and stuff and that I was going to run the marathon. So that really helped because I'm not really a big weightlifter and he showed me the proper ways how to do stuff. And I built a lot of muscle, especially in my legs. That's what I was
going to just say too. You actually did a lot of weightlifting in preparation for a marathon, which I don't think a lot of people would appreciate. I think they would all think it would be about, oh, I need to build up to 26 miles. I need to run. But you did a lot of weightlifting. You did a lot of smaller incremental runs. And so you never actually ran 26.2 miles until the marathon, correct?
No, I didn't. I ran not even close to 26 miles. I should have run further for preparation. They say like 18 to 20 is sufficient. I did a little bit less than that. You have so much adrenaline and stuff when you're running the actual race that you can go that extra distance.
Again, you never got to 26.2. You don't need to be running 26.2 until the marathon.
Oh, also, I want to share my fun fact, too, because Boston Marathon is, like, one of the world's oldest marathons. It's the oldest, longest, continuously running marathon in the world.
127th this year.
Which is a long time for marathons to be a thing.
Or an American anything, really.
Yeah. I think most people kind of know, like, where marathon comes from, right? Like, ancient Greece, and God help me, I don't know the exact war. I don't give a fuck. You can write in and tell me.
It was the war against the Persians.
It was against, like, the Persians, right? Yeah. It was, like, the Greeks against the Persians.
The famous Battle of Thermopylae, all the same wars, the same Peloponnesian wars.
And Phidippides was this Greek jabroni who had to, like, send a message. So Phidippides ran 25 miles to deliver a message. No, he did not run 26.2. He ran 25 miles.
And for those who don't know, the reason why it's called Marathon is because there's a town in Greece that was called Marathon, and that was his final destination. He delivered a message between Athens and Marathon.
I think it was said in the legend that he died too, which I never trust Greek history because it's all really dodgy.
And well, it sounds more epic.
Hearsay, yeah.
It sounds more epic when someone dies or something.
Which suck at Phidippides. I ran more than 25 miles and I didn't die.
She didn't die, so that officially makes her a Greek hero.
Better than Phidippides. May God rest his soul.
Some say Ray was defending that go pass with the 300 Spartans against the Persians.
So the reason that it's 26.2 miles now, and I will give credit to Stuff You Should Know because I learned this from their marathon episode.
Shout out to their podcast.
Josh and Chuck. I am seeing Josh and Chuck live May 5th in Boston. I'm so excited with my mom.
I'm jealous because I want them to have my babies.
They're my favorite podcasters, including Better Than Us.
You are allowed to listen to them first and us second, but they deserve first.
Stuff You Should Know is fantastic. Yeah. I guess in I think it was 1908, they had a marathon in London, and the Queen at the time wanted the race to end in front of the palace, and that tacked on an extra 1.2 miles. So instead of the 40K, don't say anything about 40K. Sorry, he's a nerd. So instead of
for the emperor.
So instead of the 40 kilometers or 25 miles that a marathon used to be, now it was changed to 26.2 to accommodate the Queen. Which I think is kind of awesome.
No,
but,
it's not.
When I finished mile 25 during the race, I was like, fuck you, Queen of England.
That's fair. And I will say I am # American proud because we don't have a monarch and all you Commonwealth nations can suck it. Because we don't have a king or queen and we're so much better.
But we're still listening to them and doing 26.2 miles. So are we really better? That's the question. Also, too, can I just go get on my soapbox? Hold on, let me just get on my soapbox real quick.
She's getting out an actual soapbox now, guys. She's standing on top of it.
Before the marathon started, they made us walk 0.7 miles to the start line.
So you actually did 26.9 miles, thus making you an ultra marathon runner.
Absolutely. And I was a little pissed. I said, I want to freaking start. I want to stop 0.7 miles before the race is over and just be like, I did it.
And she still went a bunch of blocks afterwards when we went to go eat too.
Yeah, I had to walk a bunch afterwards and walk upstairs when we went to eat. Yeah, so ultra marathoner.
And so she's an ultra marathoner now. She's actually better than all the marathon runners. Let's talk about running the race and then having a out of race buddy. Is that what you want to call me?
Sure.
Okay, so what did it feel? So how are you feeling up to like let's say the last week up to like right before the starting line? How did you feel?
I felt like I was going to shit my pants every single day. I was so nervous. And speaking of shitting your pants, I was really, really nervous about shitting my pants during the race because that's a thing. Your organs get all jumbled up when you're running and your stools get all loose and sometimes you just let fly.
Yeah, let's talk about the cocktail you took before the race. So Ray was all hopped up on performance-enhancing drugs, and I'm just joking.
Kind of, though. I took a Pepsid, which is an anti-acid, like a GERD medicine. I took that before. Sometimes your stomach can get a little upset when you run. I took a Zyrtec, which is an allergy medication, because, we're changing seasons in Boston, so I wanted to be good on that. I also took an Imodium, which is an anti-diarrheal, because I'm not shitting my pants when I'm running, because that's not something I want to worry about. What else did I take? I took Toradol, which is like a super strong Motrin.
Yeah, so like pre-medicated with an anti-pain, anti-inflammatory medication.
Yeah.
Lots of hydration before, lots of carbs.
I didn't do a lot of exercise at all the week before the race because you really want to rest your muscles and you want to be at your prime for the race. Yeah. You don't want to be sore at all. I was convinced that I was going to start the race and forget how to run and fall flat on my face. And one of the girls that I work with, she went home and got me a piece of chalk because I was joking that wherever I passed out on the race, I was just going to draw a line of chalk behind me and say that was the finish line.
The other thing we talked about also was she would draw an outline of her body and just lay there and die.
And then someone could throw me in the trash.
That is Ray and mine both last requests. If you find one of us dying, just throw us in the trash.
Oh, yeah. But I have to say, too, it was great the amount of people that came out because it's, one of the most popular marathons in the world.
So, and then not to mention also, I discovered this, and I think people outside of New England may not know this. It's a holiday called Patriots Day also as well. So it's actually a big holiday for Boston. So there's a bunch of people. I literally was
people have the day off for Marathon Monday.
I was at a bar and I started talking to a guy from New Hampshire who works in Boston, and so there's people coming in from other states.
People are coming from other countries. People come from over 100 countries to race in this race. Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's one of the biggest marathons in the world, and it's race at one of the oldest.
And people were so supportive. We were going by Wellesley College, and they got the Wellesley College girls, and they just all stand there with their hands out, and they're like, "Fuck yeah!" And you can tell they're drunk as shit, and it's just a great.
Did you talk
feeling.
About the offer that you got along the way?
What's the offer that I got?
The chick was going to be slapping people's butts.
Oh my god, there was a lady, which I have so much respect for. She slapped my ass. She had a sign that was free butt slaps for motivation. So I ran by her and she slapped my ass. It was great. I'm sure my butt was a little moist, but that's what it is. Also, this is something that I want to talk about because I have thick thighs, which save lives.
They do. They save lives, ladies.
So I bought Aquaphor, which is kind of like a Vaseline to put in between my thighs to prevent, the chafing, because I was always told that was good. The good thing about the Boston Marathon was every mile they would have water, Gatorade, and a medical station. And at the medical stations you pass, they would hand out big globs of Vaseline that you could just grab as you were running, and I would just slather them on my thighs. It worked. All
right, let's say the first half of the race, other than getting annoyed with drunk Rene calling you way too much, well, how were you feeling?
Easy. My goal was, and I'm not a runner, guys. I am now because I ran the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, she officially is a runner.
Rene has to keep reminding me that I am a runner, but I'm not typically a runner. I'm very slow. But my strategy was to run the first 10 to 14 miles without stopping, and then do what I can from after that. I ran for 14 miles, and then I stopped because it starts getting really hilly. For the Boston Marathon has a lot of hills, even though it's a net downhill. There's a lot of hills in it, so that's what makes it so difficult. But I also wanted to run for over 2 hours straight because there was a lot of studies done about runner's high, and they say that runner's high usually kicks in about straight running for 2 hours and over. So I wanted to see if I can get that runner's high, which I'm not really sure I did, but I definitely got into a flow, even though it was a slow flow. Also, a little fun fact, too, is they found, I don't know the exact study. You can look it up because I don't give a fuck. I'm drinking a mimosa right now, and I'm just happy. The, whatever chemicals in your brain go off for runner's high, it's not endorphins.
Oh.
It's not. They say that endorphins can't, cross the blood blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't do that like as quickly as they would need to.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually the same receptors that go off as it's your cannabinoid receptors.
Oh, like so it's like maybe like more of a dopaminergic response, you think?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know, but they say it's like your so it's a little bit like being high on THC, which I didn't feel like I was high on weed, but it's the same kind of thing apparently.
We here at You're Just Stupid neither support nor condone drug use. 420. Anyway, so you're feeling good the first half of the race. You've already ran more than half of it already. You're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
What happened when you slowed down?
Yeah.
Did like pain starting to say more? Were you just tired? And then how hard was it to get back into a running rhythm?
So I was never like cardiovascularly like tired at all. I never was out of breath. But by my like 16 or 17, my left hip, like the joint started to hurt wicked bad. And that's very hard to stretch out. So I did take a couple bathroom breaks. They have porta potties everywhere.
Though Ray also is incredibly versatile where she pees. No, like Ray just like straight up would just be like turn the other way. It's like, Ray, you're in the middle of like the main street in downtown Boston. I'm just going right here. And how hard was it to go, especially with your hip hurting, going from now a walking pace back to a running pace?
But my hip actually hurt less when I was running versus walking, so that helped.
And then also, I could see it in your pace because you can download an app for the Boston Marathon, and it's cool. You can actually
track me.
Ray's progress. Like I tracked Ray's progress in real time while I was at Fenway, and I'd stopped drinking at that point because I was like, I'm probably going to have to drive Ray later on. Plus, I had 10 beers in like 2.5 hours, so I felt pretty good.
Well, I didn't want anyone to track me except for Rene and my parents because I was like really worried I wasn't going to finish or I was only going to make it to like mile 2 and everyone would laugh at me. And I have a very...
And you're stronger than that,
I know,
bro.
and I made it all the way.
Ray a hug right
I made it all the way. And I have very supportive people that I work with, which I'm very grateful for. And they were asking how to track me. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want anyone tracking me. And then someone was like, oh, you just download the app and search your name. And I was like, God damn it. So my whole work, like, tracked me the whole time while I was going. And I got a lot of supportive messages. I got a lot of great support from people. So just thank you to everyone who... And thank you to everyone that donated money, too.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. We all appreciate it. Well, Ray does. And
those homeless people at Boston Medical Center.
Yeah, they do that. So how do you feel now you're at mile 25? You've already cursed the queen. How do you feel that last 1.2 miles or even that last 0.2 miles?
Okay, I didn't think the last like mile was too hard, but the thing that was hard was once I passed mile like 20 or 21, I kept losing track of where I was at, and I'd be running and people were like, just 4 more miles, and I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker, like literally that's a lot, like, and I was like just feeling bored, like I was ready to be done, but you just have to keep being like, okay, you just see the finish line in your future. And I actually sprinted the last quarter mile, which I was really proud of myself.
Heck yeah, dude. Like, so by the time I finally reached her beyond the finish line, it was really, really cool. Like, I was, mentally in my head, I was expecting her to be like heavy breathing, wanting to like curl up in the fetal position, like anxious or angry. No, she was like glowing, so happy. She actually looked better after the race than before. I mean, because she looked so happy. You weren't nervous.
Before, I was a big ball of nerves. Rene was like talking in the car and I could not listen to him because I just was thinking about how I was going to fail at life.
And like I was just trying to talk to her. A, I like talking to my buddy, but B, more importantly, I was trying to get your mind like out of like your introspection a little bit. And it was just so nice to see you like so happy and so like thrilled. And I use the term glowing because the next day Ray literally waddled around all day like a pregnant woman.
I still am doing a little bit of a pregnant woman waddling.
Yeah.
My hamstrings are very sore.
Still,
my hip is better than when I was running.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of like stretching and just chilling. I'm not doing any like hard exercise anytime soon. But yeah, afterwards we went to a nice steakhouse. We got a steak, and I passed out in the car on the way home, and Rene drove me home.
And they were doing a lot of maintenance, and I started trying to fall asleep along the road, but we all got home fine.
I'd be pissed if we died in a car accident on the way back from the marathon.
And it was my fault.
Yeah.
It's like, you literally just sat there and drank before the marathon even started. Literally, I pretty much stopped drinking by the time Ray hit mile 2. So all I did, because I figured, hey, it's a big party. So I went bar hopping. I took over a Pokemon gym at Fenway, which I'm proud of. And I drank like 10 beers in 2.5 hours.
And when I just want to say too that when I was nervous to tell my parents that I had signed up to run the marathon because I'm not a runner. And I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Well,
you are now.
I am now.
You are
but
now.
I'm not like a really big workout person. And I have always said that I would never run a marathon because why would anyone do that to themselves? And so I remember I told my father, and my father's very realistic, and he just laughed and laughed and laughed and had like a full blown like belly laugh going on that I ran the marathon. And it felt really good to finish and be like, hey, Dad, remember when you laughed at me when I was going to run the marathon? And he's like, yep, I did laugh.
And both of her parents were very proud. What do you think helped motivate you before the race, during the race?
The shame.
The shame?
The shame of not finishing.
Fair enough.
Honestly, it was the shame of not finishing because I work with a lot of people that have done marathons before. And I work with this one guy who's doing an ultra marathon in July.
Jeez.
100.7 miles. And I ran fucking 26.2 miles. Clink.
We're clinking it.
I got a mimosa. He's got a Modelo.
And I had a mimosa earlier. But anyways, so how are you feeling now? Was it worth it?
I think it was so worth it. It cost me a shit ton of money to do. The fundraising and all the time that I put into fundraising. Registration fees ended up being a lot. I bought like this special jacket for Boston Marathon. I bought like a bunch of like running accessories, like different like water bottles and stuff like that. So all that put together was pretty expensive. So that was kind of sucky, but I think it was totally worth it because now I can say that I ran a marathon and I don't have to do it again because I did it. And please let me know your thoughts. The Boston Marathon gives you a little goodie bag before you start at the expo. And they gave me one of those bumper stickers that says 26.2. And I don't know if I want to put it on my car because I don't know if it's douchey or not.
Does that make her join you? I mean, she successfully completed it, so...
And it says Boston on it, so it's not like a... It's not like a... You know, I didn't just walk outside and just walk 26.2 miles.
Yeah. Or, like, you could just buy that off of Amazon to slap it on. Like, she earned the sticker.
I earned that one.
Yeah, so
let me know if it's douchey or not.
Yeah.
I usually don't like to have any, like, modifying or, like, things on my car to let people know who I am because I don't want people to, you know, whatever.
And my car already says a lot about who I am because I drive a giant orange and black Dodge Charger.
Which, I mean, everyone drives a Charger in Texas, but not an orange one.
Everyone drives a truck in Texas. You kidding me? I'm the only one with a Charger.
Oh, there's tons of Chargers and then the F-150s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
America.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to say.
Yeah, final closing thoughts.
I would say if you want to run a marathon, do it. Why not?
Do it.
And, you know, even if you have to walk the whole thing, that's a huge accomplishment. That's a long way to walk.
And seeing Ray train for this has also gotten me, like, taking my health more seriously. A couple of different factors are doing it. But taking my eating cleaner, like, I'm doing a lot more self-care for myself. I'm back to working out again. And, like, just taking care of myself. And I don't know what my end goal is. I'm still talking about it. I'm going to pick Ray's brain over it. But I want, like, an end goal, too. Not a marathon. I'm not a runner. Maybe I'll do like a 5K or 10K or maybe...
I said I wasn't a runner either.
Yeah, true. But like maybe a similar different goal. I don't know. I'm still working on
it. The training is boring. Like if you have someone that you can run with, which I didn't have, I would recommend that because it is boring. Like when you're out there running like hours and hours by yourself, it's pretty boring. Yeah. It's not something fun.
Especially if you don't have a lot of different routes you can take either.
Right. A lot of like my brain power during my training was just like me thinking about having to run, which I'm happy to not have to think about that anymore. Yeah. Yeah,
and so that's the other thing too. I've always been best motivated by a workout buddy too. Like my best lifting days were always when I had a buddy to train with. So like I'm more focused on my health now, so I'm okay with doing it by myself. But I know like Ray's end goal is the Boston Marathon. I want to come up with something like that too. And maybe if that's what you need, figure out what you need to motivate yourself to get an end goal and give yourself something concrete. Because it's easy to say I want to be healthy, I want to be stronger. Like I'm starting to formulate something in my own head and like to get back to some benchmarks I used to be able to do. I think that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And just know that like. I mean, I always thought, you know those, like, action movies or, like, survival movies where you have to, like, it's, like, the test of the human willpower where they're, like, stuck in the desert and they have to, like, walk for hours to, like, find refuge or whatever. I always thought that if I was in those situations, I would just lay down and die because I just wouldn't want to put in any effort and it'd be easier just to die. After running this marathon, I'm like, no, my willpower is a lot better than I thought.
Exactly.
So definitely my confidence in myself and like what my body's able to do is skyrocketing.
That's awesome.
And yes, I definitely gained weight for this marathon because of the amount that I've eaten, like I said before. But I don't really care because I know what my body can do, and it's an awesome feeling.
And exactly. You know what your body can do. You have a crazy amount of stamina. You put on muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. And you look good, so it's like there's nothing wrong with gaining weight, especially if
Take
you're
lives, save lives.
exactly, especially if you're like, oh, I am now stronger and I have a lot more stamina.
Yeah. So that was my Boston Marathon story. Sorry if I felt braggy, but I don't give a fuck because I worked really hard on it.
And like I said, it wasn't just bragging; there was educational. What is it like to run a marathon? And genuinely, I hope all of you can. I mean, Ray has the right to brag, first of all, and second of all, I hope we can use this episode for all of y'all to like as a way to like, hey, I want to run a marathon, or like just me, you want to improve your physical fitness and you want to feel better about yourself. Like Ray said, the confidence that Ray has in herself now, like I can definitely see a difference.
Yeah, and also like people that are runners don't necessarily have to be like stick thin and like what you think of as runners. Yeah, a lot of them are like that, especially the elite runners, but there were people that were in their 50s, 60s, older than that, or people that were chunky. There are all types of people that were running this race. So no matter what your body type, you can do it.
And I've definitely seen people, guys and gals, who have a few extra pounds, are chubby, chunky, but they're in better shape than people who are thin. So don't let a number on a scale or a body image sway you down. Like, no, like if you're able to finish a marathon and all the other women at work are thin but can barely walk at all, you're in a way better shape than them, even if you have a couple extra pounds. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, helps you out in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I don't think so. You want me to just do the outro now? All right, guys. So once again, Ray and Rene, your co-hosts of You're Just Stupid, the podcast that makes you smarter and stupider at the same time. Thank you again for listening to this episode. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on the Facebook. If I remember to post on the Twitter, because I don't like Twitter that much, follow us at YJS Podcast. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart. If I ever remember to, I will update the website. And keep checking out for new episodes. Ray and I both have a lot more time. We're going to hit the podcast long and hard because that's how we do it.